I'm not sure. I feel like Vo could have this one.
Do we feel like...
Based on that information alone.
Oh, for sure. Do we feel like Blaskovic is a direct pick towards Sorlag? Because we've seen what Sorlag has done today.
It could be.
And consistently, because of the damage that Sorlag outputs, combined with the health and armor she has, of which now, because Clutch was weakened somewhat in terms of health, now Sorlag, in many ways, is the chunkiest champion in the game. She has been out-sustaining people all day. But if you're now against a dual-wielding Blaskovic, can you out-sustain him?
Yeah, it's a million-dollar question that we are going to be answering very soon as we step into this game between Vo and Cooler on map 1 Corrupted Keep.
This again, guys, for those that may have just joined us, this is a losers match. Whoever loses this series will be out of the Quake World Championship. Wow. And, well, foreshadowing, perhaps?
And the noises from downstairs are brilliant, but that's one way to put your foot on this. You're not letting a ghost walk happen, nothing to do with that. You just land direct, flat 100 damage, and you start off the set nicely. Anarchy will hang about. And I think if he can keep his Anarchy going all the way to the end and maybe get a frag onto the Ranger, I think Anarchy works really nicely against BJ.
Just ability to sort of run rings and in many ways just outrun the dual wield, you know, especially from distance once you kind of hear that noise or you just see the ability get activated. I mean, if you have injection, maybe use the speed boost, or if not, just get out of there. He can't really chase you.
Well, we get to see a little bit from Cooler's perspective now as we've got the major items coming back up. Anarchy spots that for just a second, but it might be an exchange there. Mega going to go to Vo and heavy armor to Cooler.
There's that typical trade, but a few seconds separating the two, which means that the fight towards each of the power-ups might be quite interesting. See who chooses to maybe play it safe and trade it out, or decide to go in for the kill and be bold.
Vo's got to be careful here. He's in the corner of the map and he's going to use his injection, but can he stay alive? He did not want to get caught out there on the nail gun. I mean, you haven't got an exit. The knockback from the lightning gun is just going to immobilize you.
Yeah, especially if you're going to be consistently trying to stay up. One tries to go in for the telefrag, and that was just an interesting exchange. 1 HP beforehand, though, so it's no surprise he went down. But no! Fumbles his rocket jump and walks right into a Blaskovic because he cannot get away.
You are bang on with what you said beforehand. The Blaskovic versus the Sorlag. No, that was just clearing up immediately. And he got the lightning gun and the job was done. But now Ranger, going to be a different beast to go. But what just happened with the LG? Vo just walked into, I don't know, just the apocalypse at that point. That was disgusting.
I mean, we're at that stage in the tournament where so many players are so skilled, and a lot of these guys are known for their lightning gun or their aim in general, and that is what makes me worried. Where we have a player like Cooler who is already really good on lightning gun, and now he's got BJ.
Yeah, and that's worked out well, and I think Vo's going to actually... I hope for his sake he doesn't start tilting a little bit, because he knows he played that all wrong, and that he should never have done that.
Well, if you're going to make a mistake, make it at the very beginning, not at the very end.
Get them out of the way as soon as you can. Cooler going to use that Ghost Walk very quickly. He's actually going to try and set up a little bit of an attack, but this might be counterproductive for him as Vo picks up the next kill.
Bit off a little bit more than he can chew there, I think.
Absolutely, but Vo, now he knows this is where it all went wrong for him last time. He's got to
He's already out
settle
of that
back a bit.
Not again, I'm already out of there, mate. What we definitely saw last time was Vo caught in a very bad position where there was no escape. He was just eating LG all day because, you know, the pushback on it is really prominent when you're airborne with Anarchy, so he's not going to be able to really get away. I don't think we're going to see him make that same mistake. The question is Cooler just going to lay a trap somewhere else?
Yeah, that's it. He's hoping to catch him out of position at one point or another. Well, messing up his jump, but that shouldn't have much of an impact. They're going to try and get a swap on the item. That rocket, that's the signal to attack. And to be honest, he didn't even need to change his position. Checking the spawn. Brilliant spawn read. I love that he's going for that.
This is that next level, absolute high level Quake. And wow! Literally melted.
Unbelievable. And that's the thing with Blaskovic. He can have crazy damage output, especially when he's doing the dual wield, but his health and armor pool is fairly limited. So you're vulnerable to attacks like that, and Vo's aim was spot on just then. One
of the most impressive things you can see in this game is when you have a Blaskovic with 2 LGs versus an opponent with 1, and the person with 1 actually wins the exchange.
Yeah. And as a Blaskovic, you feel pretty bad.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And to some extent, I feel like this matchup is almost a battle of egos to some extent. I don't want to make the players sound bad, but they obviously, when you get to this level, you feel like you deserve some kind of almost self-praise.
Oh, I definitely know what you're talking about.
You know, you do a good job, and I think really not just getting to this massive tournament, but they also want to really show who's best at the same time.
I mean, it's what we saw or heard earlier on, where it's about deciding. This is not just deciding who makes QuakeCon, it's finding out who are the most dangerous players, the absolute ones to look out for. And with a match like this, saying I defeated Cooler or I defeated Vo, that is a very impressive accolade, but he's been caught off guard and doesn't quite manage to get enough damage. He's taken out by that LG.
He tried to just push forward. He knew there was no escape, so he just tried to rush forward and get a direct rocket on him somehow. It just didn't quite connect the way that he had hoped. However, Vo is going to be going over to solar, which he's done very well with. He knows that there isn't a Ghost Walk up. Oh, from the second I say that, all those hourglasses were scooped up.
That's one of those things about those hourglasses. I mean, it's very rare that you're not going to have the access to the cooldown's not going to be traditional. It's probably going to come back faster because you're going to grab something on the way, but already using the acid and Cooler having all the resources available to negate it if he wanted.
Yeah, one of the good things from Vo is that he managed to get that Ghost Walk used very quickly. I'm just not sure he's going to be able to take full advantage of that. I think he's going to respect the fact that with his bigger hitbox, he can't just go in on a level pegging LG fight because he's just going to get hit so much more. Now things change a bit with this heavy armor.
That's definitely the dangerous thing to think about when you're a large hitbox, and we've already seen the LG that Cooler brings to the table in this series. He's looking on top form, just don't give him that advantage.
It's a bit of sneaky play from the two players, both of them walking around the map.
Very slow-paced game right now, but
I like it though.
That champion advantage means that Cooler's in the driver's seat no matter what happens.
And he has managed to find the information that he wanted, didn't manage to get any damage, and ruined his momentum a bit. He was hoping it would spawn as he would walk into it, but he'll work with that.
Really nice read on the rocket jump there, and he was actually successful. Cooler did go there, but he had that Ghost Walk to just put himself out of danger as fast as he can.
Yeah, forcing the Ghost Walk is absolutely right. The thing is, he used his spit and it had no effect whatsoever. And to be honest, Cooler was already beginning to use the Ghost Walk anyway, just out of fear getting up front face to face with Sorlag.
I feel like if you trade ability for ability though, and Sorlag's on a max stack versus Nyx with a max stack, that's only ever going to be a good trade for Sorlag because you've got so much more resources than she does.
That's it, but you still need to get that early damage off before you can commit to a fight. So as long as that all adds up, then it can definitely work massively in favor for Sorlag.
He can keep his health the way it is right now. Like, he's looking pretty chunky right now.
That's it. He's hoping to set up a little bit of a trap.
I wonder if Cooler's aware, because I mean, he's not making any sound right now. 6 seconds and the Mega's going to spawn, but Cooler actually not taking the bait. He's just outside, and in fact, he's now the one that's been waiting, forced to use his Ghost Walk again.
Now this is big though, because the acid hasn't been used. Okay, short, the armor goes up. It doesn't really matter how Cooler stacks up on Nyx. This could be very, very impactful, but Vo's got to find a way to close the gap against him. And he knows exactly where he is at this point.
And the Mega's yet to be taken. If Cooler can slip away, he might be able to collect it, and that rocket's going to be a fantastic start.
And Mega has been taken from Vo, and he's going to try and get himself onto that armor as well somehow. But that spot is being guarded by Cooler very carefully. How much respect is he willing to pay to Cooler?
Being careful. Takes a little bit of damage. Use the Ghost Walk again. Vo is being super aggressive here. Is it going to be enough? Catches him with the acid! And he is deleted.
He's got to find that health as soon as he can. There is Blazkowicz up, and you know exactly what happened last time. Blazkowicz got an LG and just absolutely rushed him down and tore him apart with that dual wield. I
mean, even a Blazkowicz on spawn with 2 SMGs is still really dangerous, especially seeing as Vo's on 75 HP. Quite a risky maneuver, but I think he's going to take that damage rather than the damage that Blazkowicz will do if he catches him.
Oh, yeah, no, he's happy to exchange on that. And he's kind of faked Cooler out to that side of the map, and he's been very intelligent in that regard. But can he find some damage? Dual wield coming up, but he hasn't got enough. Those rockets were barely doing 50. He needed more. And I mean, he's got to do something in the next 30 seconds.
The decision was there, and you can see why he stayed true to that, but he just didn't get the damage he wanted.
Can he follow up this LG? How good does it look? Well, it is better for Cooler. That's 2-1.
That's it again. 2 rounds to 1. I mean, it's pretty much going exactly as we expected.
At this stage. But I'm expecting Vo to fight back actually a little bit in this round as well. This the guys on the desk said that this could be the most tense map of the day, and the way it's starting out is definitely the formula for that. Cooler landing great shotgun blast right at the beginning, another finds him with his back turned.
From the shadows indeed. That super shotgun, low-key, a very underrated weapon on this map, I find, especially at the beginning.
Hopefully won't get too tilted from that. Oh, he's done actually a huge amount of damage with that nail gun.
Used his acid really early, so he's not got it for this next fight and gets LG'd. And this is looking to be the fastest round that we've had so far. A very preemptive acid spit right there.
Yeah, Ranger's got to offer something that the other champions haven't. Otherwise, as you say, we might be over within 60 seconds. There's so much time to play with. Vo definitely shouldn't feel like he has to do something right now. He can hold his horses a little bit, do something later down the line, control the map.
Still got 4 minutes on the clock. I mean, what's the rush? And I mean,
got a frag.
Every time he catches Cooler now, Cooler's going to make sure he's got that Ghost Walk. But when you've got only one champion left, you've got to really worry how Cooler's going to choose to use that. Is he saving the Ghost Walk every time he gets caught off guard to just maintain his champion lead? Or does he take risks because he has the champion advantage? He can afford to take a risk on a assassination Ghost Walk.
I think he can only do that when he knows the Dire Orb is down. And he just saw the Dire Orb being used, so he might consider an attack of sorts, and this is again not a very good place for Vo to be found. But Cooler does not commit because he started with the rockets. LG, and it could have been a very different story.
He's got the high ground. He's doing sufficient damage. He's going to catch sight of that, but doesn't want to overextend.
Yeah, that rocket from Vo defended him very nicely. Mega not up for a few moments. It's still over 50 health. That almost connected. That's remarkable. I would have lost it if that landed.
That would have been one of the most ridiculous Dire Orbs we've ever seen. But you mentioned it yourself, where going for those sort of plays when you know the Dire Orb is down, when you know the Dire Orb is down, you really don't have a lot of time to make something happen because of that 20-second cooldown.
Yeah, it's very short-lived. But the thing is, with these hourglasses, it might decide a lot, and that is going to determine who wins map number 1. It's Cooler.
I feel like that was a very all-or-nothing Dire Orb. You know, if he got the telefrag there, for example, great. He's back in it. He was near sort of, you know, like that one room in particular with the armor at the bottom and then the 2 health up top. If he got the frag, he was in a good position to then put himself back up for the next life. Unfortunately, it just didn't quite work out.
I think that Vo lost a little bit of patience on that map, to be honest. He was playing as if there was 30 seconds to go the whole time, and that really wasn't the case. I think after that 3rd round went in favor of Cooler, things just changed in his head a little bit. So Vo, he's got to reset himself, come back into the next map completely fresh-minded and do things. He's shown he can play head-to-head with Cooler. He can do what it takes to take the rounds off him. He's just got to build from that.
So the next map, Blood Covenant. A match that no doubt both of them unbelievably familiar with.
Yeah.
But given the team compositions, I feel like the team comp that we normally see with like Ranger, Nyx, and it used to be Clutch at the time, this is a map of which almost every champion that we just saw, with the exception of maybe Blaskovic, works fantastically well on Blood Covenant. So I'm expecting to see some, I guess, safety picks or comfort picks or conventional picks. So we're going to see Nyx again, I think. We're going to see most likely another Ranger, because that's just a map that we see them all the time. Are you expecting Vo to break tradition at all, or are you expecting him to go with what he knows for this map and not take any chances?
Anarchy 100% every map, all day, every day. But he might go for a clutch pick. It depends, because you've got to think very carefully of how you approach Cooler in every single way. So I would expect a clutch pick, but the fact that he didn't pick there on Corrupted Keep makes me doubt whether or not he'll do that. We'll find out though in a second, as Cooler is going to be going with that Nyx early pick.
Not surprised, and we see a Nyx inside of Vo also, and this really is a Nyx map. I know she's quite a traditional pick regardless, but on this map in particular, she really does excel quite substantially. But we'll see who gets picked next.
He's taking his time on this. There's so much thought going into it. Going for the Ranger.
Well, or the match has been aborted. So either that was a Ranger pick just automatically.
Was that a mispick or something like that?
Maybe, actually. The Nyx might have been a mistake.
Because you expect Anarchy first pick every single time from him. Maybe for some reason there was a misclick. I was already confused. I was like, why is Vo not picking Anarchy right at the beginning? There's something wrong.
Well, I've just been informed that it was in fact a disconnect. So we're just getting the guys back in, and we're going to have that match ready to go as soon as possible. But you said it yourself. And actually, you yourself will know, because you're quite an Anarchy enthusiast, as we've seen. Anarchy on this map is also very good, because the strength of the champions to sort of dominate that high ground and never really have to go down into those sort of catacombs where it's twists and turns, you can get rocketed or whatever. Anarchy is one of the best champions at avoiding that, right? Where he can just kind of, if you've got the execution to get those quick little jumps from like, bridge towards rail, it's a good look for Anarchy, I think.
And speaking of Bridge to Rail, there is the rail on this map. We were starved of that on Corrupted Keep,
Yeah.
and that's obviously going to play a big impact. Now, I wouldn't say that either of the players are, you know, the rail monsters that we see like with Tox and Sturmy and Kilson and Strengths and those kind of names, but they're obviously very apt at it. They're not scrubs with the railgun by any stretch, but I think with Vo's movement comes into play, where he's a bit more liberated to move around on Blood Covenant, we're going to be expecting a few more drive-bys and works like that. Cooler is, in Quake Champions, particularly at the Media Market Land that we previously saw, he's just so good at making these perfect judgments as to when he can be aggressive and when he can be defensive. And as soon as he notices even just a step out of place from that opponent, he will punish it or react accordingly to that situation.
And just so much of that is just born and bred from experience. A lifetime with Quake. Not just Quake Champions, Quake Live, Quake 3. Like, every Quake, every competitive Quake, where it's just these little decisions that you split second. You've not even got time to think about it. It's, right, I'm in this situation, I've got this much health, or I've got this much ammo, he's over there, I've already calculated how much health he's got, I'm going to make this decision right now, I've not got time to think about it. You said it yourself, very often, he is just completely on the ball, but really, there are not many players out there that can be as consistently correct in those decisions.
No, but that's it. And a lot of what he does isn't just, you get players who say, well, I don't really know who I'm playing against, or I think I know who it is, but I'm just going to play my game. I'm going to focus on playing what I know I do best. And I play the map the way I know the map. I play that map the best. Whereas Cooler, his main successes has been from actually playing the player. It doesn't matter about the map. It doesn't matter what the champions that he's picked necessarily. It's the fact that he is going to focus on your weaknesses and he is going to try and just get as much from it as he possibly can. And that's it's something that's fairly unique in the scene. There's maybe only a couple of other players that would work in that kind of fashion, but he's someone who's got so much success from it, and you can see it so visibly in some of his previous matches at the same time. So, and I find that absolutely fascinating.
It's the nature of a hardcore 1v1 game, right? Where you have the tools in front of you, you have maps, you have characters, and that's not even just going beyond like the FPS genre. Any sort of 1v1 thing, where it's you and one other guy, it's basically...
It's in the mind at that point.
That's it, yeah, exactly. Where the tools are in front of you, but how you choose to use those tools are completely up to you.
Exactly. I mean, to some degree, a lot of these players, they're obviously very mechanically skilled with the game, and it goes beyond that. It's about the focus. It's about what you know the other player's going to do, and thinking steps ahead. It's almost like some crazy multi-dimensional chess game of some sort. That looks like we're in the game, though.
You mentioned we're likely to see a clutch pick. But Cooler is the one that has gone with Clutch. Vo has gone with Sorlag still. I
am slightly surprised that Vo hasn't picked Clutch. But you know what? I think he's actually going to be perfectly happy to go against a Cooler Clutch. I think given some of the very recent changes, I think that he's found him.
That was
great
nice
read.
Yeah, really, really good read. He snapped right to that location. One element too is just going to be that Vo, with Anarchy first versus Clutch. I mean, back in the day, there was no way Clutch was going to be able to keep up with Anarchy, but because he's got that strafe judge on this map in particular, there's no jump Anarchy can make that Clutch can't make.
So that's it. LG coming out, shield is up. He's got to find. Found 100 rockets somehow, and the LG goes through. He's just saying, well, if you shoot anything whatsoever, my LG is going to be honed in on you, and I am going to get that frag. So that was very well played by Vo, in fact.
I mean, as Clutch, it can be so tempting to just see a squishy little annoying face Anarchy just laughing in your face. Like, you know what? I'm going to get one rocket, you're dead. But if you pull the trigger and you eat 100 damage rocket for your trouble.
Exactly. You can make yourself even more vulnerable, if anything.
Cooler's gone in for Nyx. Not surprised to see this change. Really an early connoisseur of that aggressive Ghost Walk when we watched Cooler play back in the early days of DueL for Quake Champions. He was using that like Nyx almost immediately and every time aggressively with the Ghost Walk.
That is true. I wonder if he's going to do that as much now, because he knows that Vo is going to be so aggressive. And this is a defensive one. And Vo's not going to find him. He's going to walk right into him. Going to use that injection. Rocket's coming out. Can he do the damage? He finds him on the wall. And that is going to be 2 champions down for Cooler.
I like Vo's awareness to catch Cooler with that rail down. The second he acknowledged the miss was there, and Cooler was kind of stuck in those couple of split seconds where he can't do anything because the rail has just missed. Vo took that as just free rocket damage.
Yeah, it was like, I'll have that.
Nice read,
oh
wow.
my god.
Okay, that's one way to answer back. Absolutely.
Oh, that's it. You need to do that sometimes, and it's actually surprisingly challenging to get those direct dire orbs on the opponent
With how
and
often
get the telepad going.
With how often we've seen it today, it looks easy. But hang on a minute, what a turnaround.
Okay, this isn't what was planned for Vo at the beginning of this when he was 2 champions up.
And he's got the Mega also. I mean, just like that, in the space of less than 1 minute, Cooler's brought this one back. And he's got a Ranger. He's nicely stacked in terms of health, but he does need a little bit more armor to be more dangerous. But if you can't, there's one player you can't count out. It's going to be Cooler.
No, that's it. I'm actually very worried for Vo. This is in some way as a make or break round. Vo is an emotional player. If he loses this after being down behind, it's going to mentally set him back quite a lot.
You know, where I come from, we call that a mental guard break.
I like that, actually. That's good.
Oh, the invisibility, he hasn't seen him activated, and he's following him. Cooler with the attack.
The dire orb, he gets back to the platform, actually, his safety, so he's not launched in the air, but Vo's still got a decent stack. I wonder if he's going to try and jump on the platform or anything along those lines. LG's not quite connecting, and Cooler's somehow navigating his way out of here. And I think Vo is thinking about the items at this point. It's like, okay, if I get over to the armor now, I can get to the Mega as well, and we can reset this and still look good. Do not need to finish the round now.
The important thing for Cooler there was that he just survived. He didn't get fragged, and it all came down to that really nice sort of like reaction dire orb to alter the way he was in the air, not getting hit by that free rail, which would have no doubt hit otherwise. Here we go.
Tension.
Here we are going into sudden death territory. I mean, really, now it's 1 champion each. This is sudden death already. Yeah, this is 100% sudden death.
The clock's used for timing the items at this stage. It's just 1 life each.
Mega and heavy armor both up, neither of which have been taken. They want the fight first. Ooh, big double. I think, again, trying to take that self-damage so he doesn't get railed while he gets heavy.
It's just get to that side of the map as quick as you can without taking the rail. No risks required. And there's enough health bubbles that can get back to his cap fairly comfortably. Now, the timing on the items is exactly the same. So it's going to be so easy for them to fall in that routine of just fight, 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 go back to each respective item, fight, fight, fight. Now, the thing is, the success is mostly going to come down to who can break that routine the most intelligent way.
Wow! Oh, that was
damage.
A lot of damage, but because the Mega was up, Cooler has been able to somewhat undo that. A little bit of armor too, to just make himself that extra little bit more healthy. But I mean, there were a couple of good rockets, and it also set that even though the heavy had already spawned, Vo was not afraid to actually lie in wait and ambush Cooler. Cooler now knows that it's not going to be just a matter of trading it out. Vo could be there at any given moment and just wait for him.
Oh, that's pretty big. And he can't hang around. He needs to find some help of some sort. And he's going to go around the corner very quickly. That was definitely the best move for Vo to do. Now, I'm curious, is Cooler going to be chasing onto the big armor?
He's got that Mega.
Uh-oh.
What's next?
50 above. Oh no, he just backed off a couple of seconds beforehand. I saw him on the bridge momentarily. I'm struggling to call this at the moment. I'm not sure which way this is going to go.
It doesn't seem like either player has the advantage over the other right now. I mean, they're both relatively healthy. An immediate jump doesn't even want to get tagged by a rail there.
He didn't have the weapon out, and he thought, you know what, sod it. I'll get out.
Both players have their ability to. Dire Orb. Oh, the rail comes through.
I can't believe he's going back in to say hello. That's so brave.
That is very risky indeed. But because Cooler went in for the Mega, it has allowed Vo to once again trade it out.
Tiny little delay, not really offsetting much. I almost wish he hung around for a bit longer, but in hindsight, Cooler crashing into the map, into that part of the map at that point, probably wise that he just left.
Well, he destroyed that pot, so he's not going to hear that now, but here comes Cooler. He's now baiting him. He is 100% baiting him towards this heavy. I even think at this stage he might be happy just conceding that Mega while he waits. He's still not really moved. He's gone back down now.
But they're trying to wait to see who's going to brave out something or do something unexpected, and who's got that reaction or play a bit more. And I think Vo's trying to show that he's got a very patient game as well, because he's typically a bit more explosive. You expect him to do something crazy a bit more often. And that's what Cooler's read is. Found him, bit of LG damage.
A little bit of damage there, but here comes Cooler trying to answer back. Vo forced to use the Ghost Walk once again. Consistently through these exchanges, I know a big part of that might also be just natural health and armor, but Vo is never as healthy as Cooler. When they both manage to trade out and they have the armor and they have the health, Cooler always has more stack to work with.
Oh, that rocket completely misses. He's got to find a way to defend himself a little bit. The weapon switch takes a second to get anything done.
Oh, wow.
And the rail lands as well, somehow. Oh, that rocket. Amazingly close just then.
The second I even saw Cooler in his line of sight, I got worried.
You kind of just assume a shot's going to land of some sort. Is Vo going to try and get that armor? It's suicide to get that armor. You've just got to give it up.
That's going to be a tough pill to swallow.
Rail.
Oh, we all saw that one. But I think giving up that heavy armor is going to be a tough pill to swallow, especially when you're already on the back foot. But you're still alive, and that's the important thing.
You take that in your stride at this point. You've just got to have that endurance at this stage after many games being played, and you've been thinking about this all day getting to this point.
Oh, wow. And that's, in many ways, he's not going to get a frag, but that is a completely guaranteed mega. And because of the Dire Orb, Cooler still is able to be on hot pursuit if he wants to be.
And what I find very interesting for Vo is how intelligent he has to try and be in order to escape and negate any prediction that Cooler has of where Vo's going when he's using that Ghost Walk or when he's trying to survive on low amount of health. We're finally seeing a bit of damage return from Vo. 114 health, and somehow the turnaround there.
You just said how Vo has been playing out of his mind to just simply survive these exchanges. How about just scoring a frag outright during sudden death? That was mental fortitude that he absolutely needed here.
I'm actually I'm almost proud of Vo the way he just delivered that. That was excellent.
I mean, Vo clearly means business.
That he needed. Vo's not typically a player that is synonymous with patience. He'll go in for the fight and he'll love getting frags, but that was remarkable.
Immediately going through that teleporter, does not even want to challenge. I actually don't think Vo has a rail at this stage, unless I'm just completely blind, but I'm sure we'll see later. Misses it. That's going to be completely uncontested damage.
That's beautiful. That's music to Vo's ears, and he's still getting more chipping away slowly with that machine gun. Finds him. Shield is up.
And I have to say, actually, that entire exchange was indeed without rail. That was 100% heavy machine gun.
Beautiful jumping there from Vo as well, getting across like that. He's got to be careful. He is railable. Just about gets out again.
That just
squeaky bum time, that is.
That literally got more tense the closer he got to the door.
Is he going to try and chase him for this? I think he heard him drop down, and that shield was used recently, but he has been collecting a lot of hourglass, so I think Vo's going to go back to thinking that shield is up. And got to work that again.
Even though Clutch with 50 less regular health, so if he gets caught off guard with no armor, he's going to be actually vulnerable to those directs. You can indeed now kill Clutch with a direct rocket if he has no armor.
Yeah, one of the few changes that we've had in the last couple of days. There used to be something where you got damage absorption as well. Also, you reduce damage on you if you were standing still and moving slowly, and that's gone, causing just a about more vulnerability.
Used to be still defense, which turned into advanced shielding, which has turned into nada. It does not exist anymore. Again, it's a calculated match so far.
All the shields come out. And Vo landed a rail just before that, so he's like, brilliant. Okay, I've managed to escape from that.
That's a win. That is 100% a win.
He's going to find him. LG on. That mega's been taken, though. Cooler landing 2 beautiful shots just then. 2
beautiful shots, and Vo just being convinced he could get Cooler with that LG beforehand, but just wasn't on the ball right there. And in combination with Cooler, that was some amazing rails.
He's managed to land the damage over time, but he's not got much else from that. With the damage on Cooler, he is able to know where he's going a little bit more clearly, but it's only the nail gun. Are you really going to do that much with it? It's not worth throwing the round away 2.5 minutes in just with the nail gun. He's got to go collect resources elsewhere.
For sure. I mean, like, that nail gun can be sort of like area denial. It can create distance. It can make corridors dangerous to walk in, but if your opponent is Cooler with the railgun, then it's a bit risky. Going towards the Mega.
He's really stacked. Yeah. Both players are massively stacked at this stage. Vo does need a rail, and he can work on that. It
does mean that, actually another element too is Spit going through shield, which we just saw put into use, so Cooler. Even though he had the shield wall active, he took
a huge amount of damage. This is going to be a frag.
Humongous chunk, and the champions that can penetrate that shield are so dangerous, and that's in some ways why I think Sorlag is a great pick against Clutch.
Well, I know, I fully agree, but what it looked like there, Cooler was waiting by the rail, assuming that Vo was going to go for it at some point, and the plan just completely backfired.
Wow, Cooler. Quite a contrast to the match, what we saw before, but now it's going to be Nyx. She's going to get shredded if he gets caught off guard with no ability, but the invisibility will negate any of the acid at all. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword effect in some ways.
Yeah, I'm interested because a saw like that and we don't have that Blaskovitz as well, so if Vo is able to get a kill, and irrespective of the amount of health he has left, then maybe his chances to survive are a bit greater without that Blaskovitz. But cross that bridge when we get to it, as Vo getting himself on the armor, lands a rail. And Cooler misses a whole lot just then. That is a colossal stack for him.
Yeah.
And he needs, there it is, the speeds come out.
And when
Time to go fast.
When you have that difference in stack and land a rail and they miss theirs, it's just going to further create that divide between health.
Oh, this has got to be careful. There's still 5 seconds until the item's up. He's railable. Why would you put yourself in that scenario? There's 40 seconds to go. Nyx versus Nyx. The Ghost Walk is up for Cooler.
This is where things get really worrying, though, because we are far surpassed that 1 minute warning. Cooler can potentially win through champion advantage, but there is no rail, but almost getting killed by the super nails.
Can Vo make a read, though? He knows actually where he's gone. He's got to get the nail gun damage out. He's got the lightning gun from this point, and he can't quite get the kill.
1-1. I mean, like, he absolutely had to go in there. I mean,
Definitely.
like, the clock was not on his side. If he died, I mean, he was going to lose the round anyway if he didn't get the frag. That was very much like a, I get this frag or I lose the round regardless, so let's just go for it.
It was important for Cooler also to fight back. A lot of players would have simply just carried on running. I mean, it wasn't a difficult read, I think, for Vo to know that he was going to that small armor and to the health bubbles. What was difficult is to know how was Cooler going to react to him after that. And it was a great response.
Secured a rail, but even though he is, I guess, in a disadvantaged situation where he was on the ground, he had so much health and armor that there really wasn't much Vo could do.
Yeah, it would have been pretty astonishing if he did get what he wanted. Oh, and he's missing his jump to get himself to the railgun.
Did manage to dodge the
He might
nails,
have had it
but
already. I might be making.
I think he collected it really early on. He had to hit the spawn that was relatively close to it, I think. Just look at that stack once more, just Cooler. Lots of health, lots of armor, and the shield wall. I mean, it's a deadly combination. Now he's landed a rail too.
He's opened the door, walked through it, and then walked right back out again. He is not welcome on that armor. And there's a huge split in timings on the major items. Vo's going to have to watch out. He's going to have to run quickly.
Oh, misses the rail, goes between Anaki's legs. You don't see that every day.
And the shield is down. Can he keep surviving? Rockets coming out. That is a perfect switch from Cooler at that stage. Somehow Vo needed to get out of there, and he was just running rings around that little spot, but it felt so unsafe, because if you go any other direction, there's a straight line sight for Cooler to wherever you are just then.
Manages to beat Vo towards the heavy armor, and not a single speck of acid connects.
Nothing. That's actually a real nuisance for Vo. He's gonna have to slow things down a bit.
Have to wait for it to come back.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And he's got himself the railgun, which at least something he can be happy about there.
If you're at least going to be able to sort of catch Clutch with those rails before he has the fight, you know, many times where Clutch forces the fight when he wants to fight. But if you can catch him with those rails, it takes him a little bit longer to do that. If he chooses to fight, then obviously hasn't got as much resources as he probably would want.
Well, get some good information from that. Not much damage for him, but I shan't be worried. And now he's got the acid spit up. He needs to get initial damage. He needs to find 1 or 2 rails and to hope to force that shield. The question is, how does this scenario make itself?
Well,
Fake rocket jump?
no one's gonna know that more than Cooler as well. That's the dangerous thing. He has so much game sense and so much knowledge. He knows that he has the upper hand here. So him actually giving Vo that opening is going to be much more easier said than done, for sure. He's got that champion lead, so we've gone over halfway throughout this round. He can be as defensive as he likes. If it goes to 5 minutes and he has more champions, he's going to win the round.
That's it. That's a big move at the moment from Vo. He's going to push in on this. He's got the acid. He's managed to land a bit of damage just there. And he's got the intel as to where Cooler's going. So he can get himself that mega health.
Relatively uncontested, I believe.
And the armor's on. Can he... Ooh, he might have just spotted him out just there. And Cooler's going to see if he can get there.
Does manage to reach it in time. Straight underground. I mean, no fight to be had. But Vo on the hot pursuit gets another rail. Uncontested rails. These are the rails he absolutely needs. Where he's landing it and taking no damage in the process. Here comes the attack. Is it going to be enough?
Unreal. Very, very aggressive play from Vo. Is he going to find the stack that he needs to work with? Mega up in a moment.
Cooler. I mean, has he been able to double back? Yes, he's gone up the jump pad right there. That was almost very bad for Cooler, but he survives. Oh, hit by the rail, and he's got himself the Mega, but look at how weak both of these guys are.
They're both hitting crazy shots at the moment, but they're both weakening themselves. They're forcing themselves not to commit. I wonder if anyone else is going to show that they've got that bravery, the courage to make that double back return and to get a frag going like this.
There's the acid. He does block all of the initial dots though. He stood on the acid himself though. He's going to take a little bit of damage, but with that much armor, it's going to be minimal.
Yeah, he's not going to be phased by that.
The important thing for him is that Sorlag has now lost the acid and won't have it for quite some time.
Vo getting a whole bunch of health. And with armor spawning soon. Cooler's in an unusual spot in the map.
You got to check that.
Vo won't expect him at.
Check that clock. 35 seconds. Cooler. He's got a shield wall. He's got 30 seconds to work with. I mean, this is his round to lose at this stage.
I think you just heard him. It's a case of keeping that routine, that path going. He's going to find him there. And there's the acid. Not hitting too much. The rocket's got to be careful from Cooler, and he's just going to back off. He's like, oh, I got the high ground still. You fell down to the bottom. Well, I am going to keep surviving.
10 seconds left. Looking extremely likely that Cooler's going to win this, but can he get a rail in a dream? A direct rocket, maybe? Is it enough?
Oh no, my God.
Is the
you
rail.
Can find it still. He's got to hit it. But there's how much health is it? There's nothing. Crazy.
He must have had like 5 health at the end of that, and I'm...
Not even that. Not even that.
I may be becoming Captain Hindsight, but he landed the second rail, but missed the first.
But yeah, that's true. If he hit the first, he definitely would have cleared. I don't know if there was, maybe I'm reading it a little bit incorrectly, but there was some armor picked up down the bottom. I don't know if the absorption would have changed that as well.
Potentially, but he definitely at the last possible moment picked up that small armor.
Yeah.
But
Vo gets the railgun very early on. There's still LG from Cooler to watch out for, but he needs to hit some shots.
That's one.
It's business time for Vo because he is a map down, and right now this is match point for Cooler.
There's no time for games. You give it your A game right now, or your Quake World Championship dreams are over. Cooler, I mean, even Cooler not making it would be strange. Vo not making it would be strange. One of these absolute legends has to go, and this could be the deciding round.
Oh, he's going to find him. Still hasn't got the LG, and he's forced the shield out. He can be fine with that. Let him move where he needs to. Let him do what he has to. Found him with a direct rocket and 2 midi, and another one at the bottom. Unbelievable shots there by Vo.
This is the accuracy that you want when you have to get these rounds on deck. This is the gameplay of a man that is hungry.
I mean, that's it. I like that these guys are going toe-to-toe with each other so nicely. It's such an interesting clash of play styles at the same time, and how they're having to sort of brain each other to see who is going to be the best.
Oh, that last-minute double back, actually, right before he re-emerges. And even without a rail, he only has a heavy machine gun in hand, and somehow he is contesting. He has forced Vo to run when he had 1 weapon in hand.
Well, that damage can be quite nasty, and again, if the dodge is right, and again, something that the Cooler's famous for is having amazing dodge. That damage will definitely whittle down an Anarchy stack quite nicely if you can hit.
There was a small little change to the heavy machine gun in the latest patch where the sound effect of the scoped shot actually reflects the fire rate as well, which makes it a bit easier to pick those shots.
We get that nice little that zoom bit, which we didn't have before.
The new effect.
I like it. It's pretty.
2 minutes in and Vo with the advantage right now. But Cooler on Nyx. We've seen what this guy can do with Nyx.
What?
But he didn't get a chance to do anything there. That right? You're talking about he needs to bring his A game. This looks like an A game to me.
That was unreal. We're seeing some amazing shots for Vo on this round. He's only a couple of steps away and he can secure this map for himself. 1 rail. Don't know how he landed that. That was phenomenal. Can he find a bit of extra damage? Only 50 health remaining. 75. A rail would do the job for him. He's going to chase down below, and he finds him.
Well, that's a turnaround. Last round. Now, Cooler, he needs to win this round. He's going to QuakeCon. Vo needs to win this round just to stay alive.
Pressure's on downstairs.
This is unlike any Quake Champions pressure Vo has played in so far. No doubt this is the biggest series he would have played in for Quake Champions.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, he's one of the few players here that's played for really, large sums of money in the distant past now, back in his Painkiller days. So there might be that familiarity with the pressure, but at the same time,
oh, Cooler messed up
that's a long time ago.
It's like you said it yourself, but sometimes stress of tournament can be just like riding a bike. But Cooler and Vo both will have that advantage in that respect. But again, Vo picking up the damage here and there, but the missed rail.
Cooler didn't really hit much at all and just lost a whole lot of health. The one thing he's got going for him is he didn't use his shield, but he's hurting.
That's not the first time we saw a heavy machine gun best to rail either. We actually saw it in the last round too.
Yeah, and you're going to know Vo's just trying desperately to dodge as much as he can, and it worked out for him. But what's going to come of that? Is there a follow-up plan for this? Is there something else that's going to happen? Or is Cooler just going to stack up and we're going to forget all about that moment in 20 seconds?
Well, potentially. He's in the process of doing that right now, already overstacked on his health, and he's got half his armor. Vo just trying to, I think he's not necessarily laying a trap, he just does it. Oh, another missed rail at the last minute. Wow, that just zipped past. These missed rails have been so important to keep Vo in this action. Ooh. Nice little medal there.
Wow, okay, he's got to get out. That rocket was enormous, and he's got to find that armor. Cooler, is he going to rush into it?
He was able to undo some of that.
Crazy for delaying, absolutely crazy. And you're available that just take the armor. Cooler can actually strafe over to the rail so quickly with clutch.
That's the strength. This big boy can fly, especially when you give him a spoiler.
Extra downforce, right? That helps somehow.
Exactly. But again, just actually, really, until that mega spawns, the difference between health and armor wasn't really too significant, but now he's actually split it more even.
Very interesting for Vo. He hasn't spotted yet the clutch. You might hear the armor getting taken. Hello, there's a surprise.
Using the shield just to secure the heavy. So if Vo can catch him off guard now, he's not going to have a shield wall behind him.
I'm not sure what I think of that. There's quite a few seconds now where Vo can try and pick him off. Here's an angle where he'll find a rail. It's going to find him. Rocket eventually. Oh, Cooler finds an amazing shot on the follow-up as well. And he didn't do anything. He stood there, and Vo walked into him.
Well, sometimes the best dodge is the no dodge, because your opponent is expecting you to move. You just stand there. They're not ready for you to just stand still and do nothing.
You've described Cooler in a nutshell. He is the master of that.
Next level mind games.
Well, that's just over 2 minutes to go on this this round, which could put Cooler through to the Quake World Championships at QuakeCon. With 3 weeks' time.
We've seen Vo's, and that was a fantastic prediction. Perfectly timed.
The timing is just staggering from Cooler.
We've seen Vo's Sorlag do some absolute damage, particularly actually against Cooler's clutch. But he has to do it again. He's got to do it one more time.
Definitely the right pick, though, from Vo out between. He's got Nyx as well as his other option, but going up against Clutch, you definitely want the Sorlag with that, as you said, the acid to go through the armor. Both players have got very similar stacks. And again, Cooler's just playing very carefully. He's playing for the information, trying to wait to see what exactly is Vo going to do. He's found him. Great reaction. Here comes the acid. How much damage can he get out? Vo lost a lot of health, and he's got to try and get away. He knows exactly where Cooler is at that point due to the health ticking down.
But now knows he got the mega health. That's to be one important thing for him.
I am worried for Vo at the moment. Cooler's playing such a good game to counter this.
The acid raining going in with the LG. The damage ticks, hits a rail.
Oh,
but he gets instead the trade. Now it's 1 for 1.
15 health to go. You don't get much closer than that. You need the items to come back up, and you need to get every single little bit of health you can.
The thing is, you've got such little time. That was a clutch situation. You normally just want to take a breather there and a big sigh of relief. You don't even have time to sigh relief there because he's already respawned. Cooler has already spawned and he's got Nyx. And he's got a rail already.
Yeah, you're straight back into it at this point. There's no time for rest. He's going to find him. Oh, the Ghost Walk use. He might even think about rocket jumping away, but Cooler actually using it defensively.
Well, right now, actually, he doesn't have a rocket launcher in hand. He only has the super shotgun.
Oh, wow, this could be good for Vo.
He gets it. And because he had no rocket, he had to put his faith within that super shotgun. Shouts to Doom.
Well, Vo's got 20 seconds. The game is still not over. Cooler going to be chasing this. Rails needed to be landed. Oh. He's landed another one. How the hell has he done this? He gets one more. What the hell has just happened?
He needed to hit all 3 of those rails, and he did it. And now, I mean, we had like seconds left. We are now in, and I'm going to call this one sudden death.
Yeah, this absolutely is. And it's only map 2. Vo has got still a long way to go if he wants to see himself qualify. Cooler needs 1 frag, and he is through.
I can't believe we might even have an entire map left.
Yeah,
But definitely
been on a marathon here.
the last people that should be thinking about, though, are Cooler and Vo0. They need to focus on this one frag. They need to take it every second at a time. Vo0 with that Ghost Walk. He can be brave. He can maybe try and surprise with it, but that's going to be a big decision.
I love how quiet. We've not actually seen many games where there's this much. I don't even think we've seen any games where there's this much sneaking around the map and playing on information. And, you know, I was talking about Cooler, who likes to get inside his opponent's heads and play the player. Well, Vo0 is trying to play the player as well. They're really fighting each other at their own strengths.
Well, we're going to see who has the last laugh in this round. 1 minute into sudden death already.
It could take a few. Great shot.
Absolutely.
There's still there's just under 10 seconds for the big armor to spawn.
And Vo0 has only just collected a rocket too. That entire time he had no rocket launcher.
And Vo0 did find the upper small armor. He might, yeah, he's going to drop for the lower. And I think he's going to go over to the big armor, as that spam should tell him that Cooler's on the other side of the map.
But again, I mean, like, before that mega, health and armor were just switched.
He spotted him.
They didn't fire.
Couldn't pull the trigger in time. I think Cooler did see the forehead.
Oh, wow,
I
the
can't
challenge!
believe that.
But now Vo's in trouble. I mean, like, at any point now, he could get caught by one bad rocket and it's all over. Here comes Cooler. He's so close. Cooler is so close to him. The tension is unreal. He's just dropped down.
I don't know if you heard that. He's got the Ghost Walk and he's going to be using it.
Oh, and there's the die roll, but just to get out of dodge.
All right, Mega's just been taken by Vo0. He's going to get that lower armor. He does not want to fight. He's grabbing those time shards very quickly, and it's time to leave. LG, oh, he's done decent damage.
And taking minimal damage. Even the 40 rocket, that's still not the end of the world. Misses the rail. Cooler, he's trying to escape.
Yeah, he's out of there, but equally, Vo is very, very glad about that. He wants to survive the same amount. And you've got to, if Cooler hung around and suddenly a rail attacked him and he's not able to dodge out in time, then yeah, massive amounts of trouble. I'm not sure who to call. I don't even know. Never mind. Ignore I said that. I don't need to call anything.
What happens will happens, and the better player is going to win this round.
That's it.
Let's see who can pull it off. Going in for the Ghost Walk, actually trying to use it aggressively. Unfortunately, Cooler nowhere to be found.
And Cooler doesn't know that the Ghost Walk was used aggressively. So again, I mean, we talk about it quite a bit. Information is paramount, and he doesn't have that at the moment. So shouldn't hurt Vo too much. He's going to spot him. He wants the rail. He's missed it.
He's hit all these rails, but one when Cooler's back was turned. The one he definitely didn't want to miss. And Cooler seizes the Mega. Looks like he's running towards Heavy. He's caught him, using the phase shift immediately just to not take the risk.
Uh-oh, Cooler's just spotted him there. He's got the die rob. This is going to be very, very difficult. You've got no time, Vo. The LG damage is massive. Fakes out the jump. How is he going to play this one defensively? The rockets from Vo are decent. How much health has he got?
And Cooler fumbled his die rob, so he wasn't able to go up on the bridge to meet him.
Wow, that is...
He's somehow Vo is still alive.
It's a series of insane events to result in Vo's survival, and he even gets himself onto an item at the same time. He's landed a shot. I don't know if he should have used that, though. This is so bizarre for him to use the Ghost Walk.
But he gets a rail. That might be what he needs. Cooler is very, very weak.
He's just picked up a health bubble, and he's taking the time shards himself. Vo, he's searching for a small armor. We are now in 4 minutes of overtime between Vo and Cooler to determine the map 2 victor.
Here comes the fight towards. He's missed a rail and a frag. Cooler at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Just bolts it for him.
I think he even knew there was 2 seconds left for Mega, and he's like, I am rushing it. I'm going to do a rocket, and I'm going to get the die orb, and I'm going to, if it don't telefrag him, I'm going to get the 100 damage from the dire orb as well. Absolutely insane tension on that last round, and that gives Cooler the 2-0 and the last qualification spot to the Quake World Championship.